Right in the middle of James Brown's performance, a young man jumped on stage and shouted, "I can dance better than you, old man." The crowd gasped. James Brown stopped, looked at him, and said four words that changed everything. "Show me right now." What happened in the next 10 minutes became the most legendary dance battle in music history, and taught everyone watching that confidence without humility is just arrogance. It was October 1974 at the Apollo Theater in Harlem. James Brown was 41 years old and still at the top of his game. He'd been performing for over 20 years, had revolutionized music multiple times, and his live shows were legendary. Tonight was a special homecoming performance. 3 sold-out shows, the Apollo packed with 1,500 people each show, the energy electric. Brown was in the middle of his second set, working the crowd into a frenzy with Sex Machine. He was drenched in sweat, spinning, sliding, doing the splits, commanding that stage like he'd done 10,000 times before. The band was locked in tight. Bootsy Collins had moved on, but the new bass player was holding down the groove. The horns were screaming. The crowd was on their feet. That's when it happened. A young man, maybe 22 years old, suddenly jumped from the front row onto the stage. Security immediately moved toward him, but he was fast. Before anyone could stop him, he grabbed a microphone from a stand and shouted into it, "I can dance better than you, old man." The band stuttered to a stop. The crowd gasped, some with shock, some with excitement at the drama unfolding. James Brown froze mid-move, sweat dripping down his face, staring at this kid who'd just crashed his show. Security was seconds away from tackling the young man, but Brown held up his hand. "Wait," he said into his microphone. "Hold up." 1,500 people holding their breath. Brown walked slowly toward the young man, who was standing there in street clothes, jeans, a tight shirt, platform shoes that marked him as someone who cared about style. The kid was good-looking, confident to the point of cockiness, with the kind of energy that comes from being young and talented and never having been truly tested. "What's your name, son?" Brown asked, his voice calm, but carrying throughout the theater. "Marcus Williams." The kid's voice was loud, trying to project confidence, but there was a slight tremor underneath. He hadn't expected Brown to engage with him. "And you think you can dance better than me, Marcus? I know I can. You're 41, man. You had your time. I'm the future." Marcus looked out at the crowd, feeding off their energy, some of them cheering him on, others booing. Brown nodded slowly, a slight smile playing on his lips, a smile that the band members recognized immediately. It wasn't a friendly smile. It was the smile of a predator who'd just been given permission to hunt. "All right, Marcus," Brown said. "You interrupted my show, jumped on my stage, called me old, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to give you exactly what you want, a chance to prove you're better than me, right here, right now, in front of all these people." The crowd erupted, some cheering, some booing, everyone suddenly invested in what was about to happen. "But," Brown continued, his voice cutting through the noise, "we're going to do this right. My band is going to play, you're going to dance, then I'm going to dance, and we're going to let these people decide who's better. You good with that?" Marcus's eyes widened slightly. This wasn't quite what he'd planned. He'd expected to be thrown out, to become a story he could tell at parties. "I jumped on stage with James Brown and called him out." He hadn't expected Brown to actually accept the challenge, but he'd come too far to back down now. "Yeah, I'm good with that. Let's do it." Brown turned to his band. "Fellas, give us a groove, something simple, 4 on the floor. Let the people see what young Marcus here can do." The band started playing, a straightforward funk groove, nothing complicated, just a pocket for Marcus to dance in. "Go ahead, Marcus," Brown said, stepping back and gesturing to the stage. "Show me what you got." Marcus started dancing, and the kid could dance, really dance. He had moves, spins, slides, footwork that was fast and intricate. He dropped into splits that made the crowd gasp. He did backflips. He was athletic, flexible, technically skilled. For about 2 minutes, Marcus put on a show, pulling out every trick he had, every move he practiced in front of mirrors and in clubs. When he finished, he was breathing hard, but grinning, arms spread wide, soaking in the applause from parts of the crowd. He looked at Brown with an expression that said, "Beat that, old man." Brown was clapping too, slow, deliberate claps. "That was good, Marcus. Real good. You got skills, no question about that." Marcus's grin widened. He thought he'd won. "Now let me show you something," Brown said. The band kept the same groove. Brown stepped into the center of the stage, and then he started to dance. But what Brown did wasn't like what Marcus had done. Marcus had performed. Brown told a story. Every move Brown made connected to the music in a way that Marcus's hadn't. Where Marcus had done tricks, Brown created moments. He didn't just hit the beat. He played with it, teased it, made love to it. His footwork wasn't just fast, it was musical. His spins weren't just impressive. They meant something, expressed something, communicated joy and pain and struggle and triumph all at once. And he did it all while barely seeming to try. No wasted movement, no showing off, just pure distilled artistry. The crowd started responding differently than they had to Marcus. This wasn't just appreciation for technical skill. This was something deeper. People were shouting, crying, losing their minds, because they were witnessing mastery. Brown danced for maybe 90 seconds, not as long as Marcus. Didn't need to be. When he stopped, the entire Apollo Theater exploded with applause that shook the walls. Brown walked over to Marcus, who was standing there, looking like he just understood something for the first time. "You got skills, Marcus," Brown said, not unkindly, "but you don't got artistry yet. You want to know the difference?" Marcus nodded, the cockiness gone, replaced by something else, humility maybe, or recognition. When you danced, you were trying to prove you were good. Every move was about showing people what you can do. When I dance, I'm not trying to prove anything. I'm trying to feel something and make other people feel it too. I was communicating. Brown put his hand on Marcus's shoulder. "You're young. You're talented. You could be great. But talent without humility ain't nothing. You came up here thinking you were better than me. Maybe one day you will be. But right now, you're not. And you know why?" "Why?" Marcus asked quietly. "Because I've been doing this for 25 years. I've failed more times than you've tried. I've been booed off stages. I've had shows where nothing worked. I've put in 10,000 hours of practice that nobody saw. That's what you don't have yet. The years of failing and learning and getting back up. You got the moves, but you don't got the wisdom that comes from all those years." The crowd was silent now, listening to every word. "There's something else," Brown continued. "When you jumped up here and called me old, you disrespected me. You disrespected this stage. You disrespected these people who paid money to see a show. You thought your talent gave you the right to do that. It doesn't. Talent is a gift, but respect is something you earn and something you give. You understand?" Marcus nodded. "Yes, sir. I'm sorry. Don't apologize to me. Apologize to them." Brown gestured to the audience. Marcus turned to face the crowd. His voice was shaky but sincere. "I'm sorry. I was disrespectful. I let my ego get bigger than my sense. I apologize." The crowd's response was mixed. Some applauded his apology, some still booed, some just watched to see what would happen next. Brown looked at him for a long moment. Then he said, "You got heart, Marcus. It was stupid what you did, but it took guts. And you can actually dance. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you a choice. You can leave right now, or you can stay up here and dance with me for the rest of this song. Not against me, with me, as part of my show. What do you want to do?" Marcus looked shocked. You serious? Dead serious. But if you stay, you follow my lead. You listen to the music. You don't try to steal the spotlight. You serve the song. Can you do that? Yes, sir. I can do that. Brown turned to the band. Take it from the top, Sex Machine, and keep it going. The band launched back into the song. Brown started dancing, and Marcus joined him. But this time, Marcus danced differently. He watched Brown, matched his energy instead of trying to exceed it, responded to what Brown was doing instead of just doing his own thing. They moved together, played off each other, created something that was bigger than either of them alone. The crowd went absolutely wild. This was better than a battle. This was mentorship happening in real time. This was a legend teaching a kid a lesson not through humiliation, but through inclusion. When the song ended, Brown and Marcus were both drenched in sweat, grinning at each other. Brown raised Marcus's hand in the air, like a boxing referee declaring a winner. "Ladies and gentlemen," Brown said into the microphone, "give it up for Marcus Williams, who just learned the most important lesson in show business. It's not about being better than someone else. It's about being the best version of yourself and lifting up everybody around you." The crowd gave Marcus a standing ovation. This time, not for his tricks, but for his humility, for his willingness to learn. Backstage after the show, Brown found Marcus. The kid was sitting alone, still processing everything that had happened. "You okay?" Brown asked. "Yeah, just thinking." "Mr. Brown, why did you do that? You could have had security throw me out. You could have embarrassed me and been totally justified. Why did you let me stay?" Brown sat down next to him. "Because I saw myself in you. When I was young, I was cocky too. Thought I was the best thing that ever happened. Somebody could have crushed me for that arrogance. Some people tried, but a few people gave me chances instead. They taught me that confidence is good, but arrogance is poison. I'm just passing that lesson on." "I really am sorry," Marcus said. "I was trying to make a name for myself. Thought if I called out James Brown, people would remember me." "They'll remember you all right, but not for calling me out. They'll remember you for what you did after, for listening, for learning, for having the guts to apologize and the humility to take instruction. That's worth more than any backflip." Brown stood up to leave, then turned back. "Marcus, you got talent, real talent, but talent is just the starting point. You want to be great, really great? Stop trying to be better than other people and start trying to be better than you were yesterday. Stop looking at other artists as competition and start seeing them as teachers. And most importantly, remember that this business isn't about you. It's about the music and the people who listen to it. You serve them, not the other way around." "Can I ask you something?" Marcus said. "Sure. When you were dancing against me, when you danced after me, how did you make it look so easy? I was throwing everything I had at it, and you barely looked like you were trying." Brown smiled. "That's because I wasn't trying to do anything except feel the music and let it move through me. You were trying to prove something. I was just being. That's the difference between performing and artistry. When you're performing, you're always outside the music, trying to impress. When you're being an artist, you're inside the music, just expressing what's already there." Marcus nodded slowly. "I think I understand. You will. It takes time, but you'll get there if you stay humble and keep working." Marcus Williams never became famous. He never released an album or had a hit song, but he became one of the most sought-after choreographers in R&B, working with dozens of artists over the next 4 decades. He taught dance at a community center in Harlem, where he told the story of the night he challenged James Brown to every student he ever taught. "I thought I was going to show James Brown up," Marcus would tell them. "Instead, he showed me what real greatness looks like. It's not about being better than someone else. It's about being so good at what you do that you can lift other people up instead of needing to push them down. The story of that night at the Apollo became legendary. People who were there never forgot it. Not because of the dance battle, those happened all the time, but because of how Brown handled it. He could have crushed Marcus, could have humiliated him, had him thrown out, made an example of him. Instead, he turned a moment of disrespect into a teaching opportunity. He showed Marcus and everyone watching that true confidence doesn't need to prove itself by defeating others. If this story of confidence, humility, and the difference between talent and artistry inspired you, share it with someone who needs to hear that trying to be better than someone else is a waste of energy. The only person you should try to beat is who you were yesterday. Subscribe for more stories about legends who lifted people up instead of putting them down. And remember, talent gets you on stage, but humility keeps you there.